Welcome to Champion Minded, the podcast for those who aim for excellence, not only in the sports arena, but in life. My name is Allistair, author, speaker, mindset and performance coach, and my goal is to help you unleash your unlimited potential and provide you with the tools to achieve greatness. Are you ready to become champion minded? Then let's do this. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Champion Minded podcast. I'm Allistair McCaw. As always, good to have you along. This week coming to you from the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California. And quite ironic because in today's show on What It Takes, the series where we interview high performers in their fields, be it in sports, arts, entertainment, business, I have somebody who grew up and had a lot of his career here in Los Angeles in the dancing and arts and entertainment industry. Caprio Jackson, and I actually interviewed him in Florida, where I live, and where he was actually born. But in between, like I said, he's been performing here in Los Angeles. And just a super interesting guy, and also fascinating that he has, or should I say, doesn't matter which industry you're in, the high performers have the same traits, they have the same mindset, they have the same goals, be it in sports, be it in arts and entertainment. And this interview was really an interesting one, especially for myself, to connect with someone who had a deep passion or has a deep passion, and just to hear his background, the work ethic he had, the time. There's even a story where he's in the football team back in school and training at 2 a.m. in the morning. That type of relentless work ethic. And you're going to hear some great stuff. Caprio also touches on some great life skills. Things he's learned in his life and things that he brings forward to some of the kids and students he teaches here in Florida. But just a super interesting guy, humble, kind. I was very appreciative of him to give up his time to do the interview. And I just want to say to you out there, regardless what you do, if you're in school, if you're playing sports at whatever level, you're really going to enjoy this one, and I encourage you to listen right through. There's some real nuggets in this one. Take some notes, and I know you guys will enjoy this. As always, I'd love to hear your feedback, be it on iTunes or by email, mccallmethod@aol.com. But let's get straight into it. Here's Caprio Jackson. Caprio, welcome to What It Takes on the Champion Minded podcast.
Definitely. Glad to be here. It's an honor.
Thank you. Now, for the listeners out there, I met Caprio on Sunday. Today is Wednesday, if I'm correct. I start to lose track of the days.
Right.
And I think within 5 minutes, I definitely knew I wanted you on the podcast.
Appreciate it.
Someone that speaks with a lot of passion, someone that loves what they do, and that's exactly what Champion Minded is all about, is passion and putting it into good use. So welcome.
Thanks.
As I usually start off with most of the guests, a little bit about your background and growing up.
Well, a little bit more about my background. I was born in Hollywood, Florida. Definitely a native here, and just always been into the arts and being able to, grow up. And I grew up in, I wouldn't say a bad neighborhood, but it had a name for itself. And as that name made itself for that street, which was Adams Street in Hollywood, it was one of those streets that you had its dangers, and you had to pretty much grow up. I had a hard-working mother. She would work late nights, and she would be tired early in the morning, and I would just sneak outside playing around in the areas where you shouldn't play around. It was almost like how in Lion King, and the father Simba is like, hey, you see over there in the elephant grave? Don't go over there. I would be over there a lot, so it's like...
Curiosity.
Yeah, pretty much. Becoming a young man or growing up as a young man. So it was pretty interesting and intriguing. And also it taught me a lot on how to grow up, not having my father around at the time. So I've learned a lot growing up in that neighborhood. I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. Sometimes struggles help you really understand what life is all about.
Mm.
I lost many friends, and that's one of the things that really helped create my mind state of growing up, because of what I am today and where I've come from is two different worlds.
Mm.
So even I think my mom was smart by calling me Billy. That kept me out of a lot of trouble. So
That's actually, to jump in there, Caprio. I mean, that's obviously
a stage name. Yes, that's my stage name.
That's your stage name.
Yeah, I received that because I'm a Capricorn. So
Okay.
I have a friend. She pretty much called herself Capricious, and I was like, "Hey, I'm Caprio, the male Capricorn." And she was like, "Yeah, I like it, Caprio." So just to resemble me being a Capricorn and being Caprio, that's something that I pretty much resided with. Plus, Leonardo DiCaprio was getting all the ladies, and I was like, "Hey, I can't go wrong with this name." So yeah, William Jackson. William Jackson is my full name. William Anthony Jackson is my name, but I go by the name of Caprio.
Cool. I like it.
I definitely grew up with that, being half Italian. My father is half Italian and Creole from Louisiana.
Wow. Right.
So I haven't really had the opportunity to get into depths of my heritage. I have 3 sisters who I haven't met as of yet. It's been about a few years, and I never met them before. So
wow.
There's still more for me to learn. Still growing into myself.
That's the beauty of life, right?
Yeah.
Is that we never know it all.
Yeah, you're right.
One thing I can't stand in industries is where they call somebody an expert.
Mm.
And, I always like to change that to I'm a learner.
Right.
I will never be an expert.
Right.
I don't believe there is such a thing as an expert. You might know a lot, but
right.
I think when you start to term yourself an expert, you've stopped learning in a way, or you've given yourself this title that
right.
That
and
we don't.
More like an entitlement or a destination.
Yeah.
And it's not a destination. Life is a continuous circle that just continually revolve until you no longer can revolve. So, that's definitely how I see life.
I love it. So, growing up, did you play sports or?
Oh yeah.
You played lots of sports.
Yes, I did. I played football, ran track. I even boxed. So
Wow.
it's just something that always keep me active. I really was heavy into track. My uncle used to race me for money.
Oh, wow.
That's how fast I used
like
to.
Like a greyhound.
Pretty much, I used to run pretty fast. I won't get into my time and everything, but
which discipline?
I was in the 100 meter and the 40-yard dash. I was well known in the 40-yard dash because I had a fast time in the 40, which was a 4.4.
Oh wow! Anything in the 4 region is combined time, huh?
Right. So I ended up being the #1 running back in my senior year, but I ended up hurting my elbow, which I needed surgery. Which you can see here.
Which I'm just seeing. Oh wow! Yeah, you got some scars there to prove that.
Yeah. So
to prove it, chicks love scars, right?
Yeah.
So.
They consider it a bad boy thing, but as far as getting into Michigan State, that was one of the goals, and
Big school.
I missed out. Yeah, and I missed out on that opportunity. So it was a bummer, but I knew I had the entertainment industry, dancing, and the more of being artistic. I think I played sports just to prove to the guys in my neighborhood, oh, you got to be tough, and can you hang, or, can you play sports? And that's how I got into sports.
Well, that's interesting because that's exactly what I want to go into, because dancing is predominantly seen as a girl thing or a female thing or whatever.
Right.
Especially the neighborhood you grew up in. Were you teased as a kid or?
Well, the funny thing about this is I've been...
Because as a guy, in the dance industry or whatever, you can... Kids growing up, it's...
This is a pretty interesting story because this is where I feel I was highly honored and blessed with my last name, Jackson. And it pulled me in the direction, and my name being Billy at that. So when Billie Jean would come on, people would say, hey, do the moonwalk. And I'm like, oh, even though I practiced from the age 5, I was ready for the moment. But, I was just on top of it. And when they told me to do moonwalk and I started dancing, like, hey, he really danced like Michael. Look at him go. Hey, do that Michael thing again. Do the Michael. So I was highly inspired by Michael Jackson. It was more like I wouldn't say a family thing. I wouldn't say I'm related, but just to having the last name,
Yeah.
and then the song called Billie Jean, it just kind of
Connection.
yeah, it was a magnetic connection, and I couldn't let go of it, and it just took me places from singing to writing music to doing film. So everything that I saw Michael do is what I inspired myself to do, from writing film. Even though he wasn't a lyricist as far as a rapper or as a hip hop artist, he still had the creativity where he would connect with other artists. One of the funniest till this day is seeing him and Eddie Murphy do a song. You know, it's just it sticks to your head like, wow.
Eddie was one of the best.
Yeah, it's still continuing to make music. It's beautiful to see where he's going with his sound. You know, so yeah.
Excellent. What age did you start dancing, or what age did you start getting into the arts?
As soon as I could move my feet. So you would say
Okay.
that was out the womb now.
So one day.
Yeah.
Day one.
Day one. My father, when I spoke to my father, he was like, he was born with your eyes open. Like you already knew what it is that you was looking for, or what you come to look for. You was searching for something. And honestly, I started around in 5th grade, or led around 5 or 6. And that's when my music teacher got a hold of me and was like, hey, I see something in you. You have a spark. You have a passion. You really trying to accomplish something. She didn't understand why, but she just knew that there's a fire. Yeah, there's a fire in you that just seems to kindle in you. And it's just, I want to help you succeed in life. So I was hearing that opportunity, but at the same time, there was things that would drown that out. Right. You know, from just growing up in my neighborhood. But I paid close attention, and that's where I got started, just from 5th grade. And
cool. Would you say that great dancers or great performers or great athletes are born or made?
Now, that's one of that question is very, it's thin lines of perception in that particular question, because I wasn't. It's hard because some people say I make things look easy. I'm innate to certain things. And I feel, well, if you put in the work, because I feel I put in the work to learn what I've learned. I wouldn't say you're born with it. Honestly, I'm starting to believe it's a calling on your life, on the spiritual aspect of it. If it's something that you are called to do in life, you're given this ability to do that. It's like how I would watch Deion Sanders or John Elway and these players play NFL. And I played football. Now, even though I became a number 1 running back and I was good at what I do, that was not my calling. So I realized, well, I couldn't be upset about not playing football because that's just not my calling. You know, I have a different calling. Yeah. So I realized that these people was equipped with the ability to be able to move forward in their calling. So this was the important thing about getting into what I always wanted to do in life. It's not really, I wouldn't say you're born, or it's just...
Because one of the words, sorry to come in there, one of the words I can't stand, and you know, those who've read the book Champion Minded, I talk about talent.
Right.
Where they see somebody and say, well, he or she is just talented.
Right.
And you're like, no.
Right.
They just didn't, you know, as we spoke about, get out the womb, and they were able to play golf like Tiger Woods, or to play tennis like Serena, or whatever, dance like Michael.
Right.
They've put in countless hours and dedication and made choices along their journey that other people weren't willing to make.
Right. Very consistent. And one thing that, and the truth be told, it took a lot of hard work, because for me to become the number 1 running back, I was in high school, and due to the fact that my mom used to work late, I was a night owl. So I would go out to the park at 2 a.m. in the morning, where I know my classmates wasn't up, at the park in the rain.
2 a.m.
2 a.m. in the morning. I was at the park with my cleats by myself in the type of neighborhood that I was growing up in. It wasn't a fear. I was in that beast mode mentality of I have to train, because I remember there was a phrase that was always on our locker room door. For every day that you miss of training, there's somebody out there practicing harder than you. And the day that you actually meet them, they're going to beat you at your game. It's like Mayweather. As much as we would want to, or many people would want to not like Mayweather, and the most humbling thing that he could possibly, utter was, it's not me that's the best. I have the best team. He trains the hardest. So it's not even about his own personal ego. He knows how to give a great show and how he says things. But the perception, did you really catch when he said, hey, it's my team that's the best because they train me and work me to the best. And that's what I always look for, to be a part of a team that could work me to be my best. That's why I pushed so hard in life, because I felt like nobody really saw how much I wanted or how much I really want to accomplish something. So I had to push myself. So a lot of those things really fall into play with how we perceive hard work. And hard work, to me, being champion minded, is hard work. Your perception on how many hours it takes for you to really get into that. And it's not just something that I say, oh yeah, I'm gonna get into because I see so and so doing it. No, this is a passion. This is a love that resonates deep down within you, just on so many levels. So how can I express myself as an artist? I feel like I'm supposed to be in a position to where my artistry will be able to open up doors to get this message out. So
Caprio, tell me a little bit about teachers, coaches, mentors growing up, or even into the later part of your career.
I would call them. I would consider my mentors as hologram images, because even though they were mentors, they probably never knew they was a mentor in my life, because I studied people from afar. So I was a watcher. So for me to sit and listen and watch and learn from people, and they may not know I'm actually listening or paying attention. So I have many teachers, but one in particular, my friends, my close friends that I've known for over 10 years. Many of them have said very impactful words that just stuck with me and resonated with me. I have a friend of mine, I consider him one of my most wealthiest friends because of his knowledge. And he was like, I'm not telling you this to save you. I'm telling you this because it was placed on my heart to tell you. I'm just doing my job. You could make the decision after that, and do what you want to do. And I was like, wow, he kept it 100 with me. He's not telling me this because he cares and he's concerned about it. No, he's concerned about not telling what I need to be told in order for me to go in the right direction. So when I seen what type of friends, when I started to value my friends, I have a webinar that I'm working on called Living on Cloud 9. And
Living on Cloud 9.
Living on Cloud 9.
I like
and
that.
The first, and it's called Lock 9. You have to unlock your mind to get on Cloud 9. So the first beginning of this process is recognizing your value. And in order to see value in your life, you must see the value in you, because that's the same value that your friends see within you as well. So in order for me to notice the value of my friends, I had to dig a little deeper and listen to what they're telling me. So when he told me that, it was like, wow, what type of friends do I have around me? And that's when I started really paying attention, tuning in. What is this person telling me? You have one that'll push me to do.
When did this start? When was this?
This was like the age 14 when I really got into Shakespeare.
Okay.
And I used to read that Michael was into writing music and he was into Shakespeare as well.
Really?
So I got into a little bit of literature myself. And I was like, reading the Bible was essential, because growing up in a family that was about, going to church. And I was like, I hear you, Mom. I hear you, family, and everything else. But there's something a little bit more. I hear Buddha, Vishnu, and all these different stories. But one thing that I took from all these people is that they personally went on their own journey. There was something that they became transparent to the world. And that's what a lot of people tend to fear, is becoming transparent. At the time, I didn't know how to explain this. I was just, how do I explain what I'm going through, becoming a young boy and growing into a man? That is one of the questions as a male, was, what does it mean to be a man? I'm asking my friends, we're having these conversations, these deep conversations, because our father isn't around. But even when we're around our father, when we got a time to spend with our father, they'll give you the old cliche words, oh son, just keep working hard, and nah. That's not what Plato, Aristotle, and Nostradamus, they wasn't on that level. This just, I want to get on that level. Son, you're digging a little too deep, You might be digging for
You're
something.
going into a subject I don't know enough about.
Right. So it's like, okay, well, I won't fault you for not knowing about that. I need to find the people who do know of these people, and I need to find out why I'm so hungry for this.
So you had a deep curiosity.
Yes, it just ran so deep, and I was like, where did I get this from?
Do you think that's a trait of a champion-minded person?
Absolutely.
Is curiosity?
Absolutely.
Being interested?
And like I said, I call it the calling. It calls you, because when I didn't ask to be born. I wasn't born because I said, hey, I want to be born.
Yeah.
There's a purpose to my birth. And this calling is part of that purpose. Do we hear it? Do we choose to hear it? Or do we choose to ignore it? I believe many people are ignoring the calling on their life rather than actually saying, hey, you know what? I hear something, I feel something, but I need to go get a job and work. I got to make this money. You know what I'm saying? I have to go to this 9 to 5. And they could feel miserable at the job. I used to work at McDonald's and see how miserable the employees would feel. And it's like, I don't want to work drive-through because you don't make no money there. And I took it in a different perspective. I went back there and say, welcome to McDonald's. And they would be like, oh my gosh, was that you really sing? I was like, yeah. They would give me tips and things like that. My friend was like, hey, how you making money back there? I was like, you know how to sing? It was like, no way, you can't make the money. So
but it was all about attitude, right?
All about attitude.
You chose your attitude.
Right.
We all get to choose our attitude.
Absolutely.
Despite our circumstances.
Right.
This is powerful because you talk about calling. Would you say that's another word for purpose in your life?
Yeah.
Is a calling.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: a lot of people, I talk at conferences and talk at schools and colleges and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people ask, how do I find my purpose, or how do I find my passion? A lot of people are still searching for it.
Right.
And hey, some people are well into their 40s, 50s, and still haven't found it.
Right.
So, is there any advice you'd give the listeners on how to find what that is?
The funny thing about that is, and this is probably the reason why I call it the calling instead of just calling it the purpose. Purpose would be like seeing a rock. You see the rock. You know the rock's there. But what do I do with this rock? What do I shape this rock into? It's tangible. The calling is intangible. You have to hear it. You have to feel it. You have to really tune in. It's almost like your determination to really want to win. That's the champion-minded, I would say that's a champion-minded attribute as well. You have to tune in. It's like you fine-tuning your soul to tune in and say, okay, I see the rock. Now, what am I going to create this rock into? It's creativity. And this is one of the things that I realized. Many people don't understand creativity, how creativity works. And that's where you have to really listen to the universal connection to you. We're connected, but how many of us are really listening? And that listening is called perspective. It's like almost like a sound sight, if I make any sense. I don't know. It's almost like a sound sight. It's a beautiful thing that I've learned in life. Oh, I'm sorry. It just...
I mean, if the listeners could see you right now, just how much it means, it's something that you just can't...
Because...
You can't pretend.
To come to this revelation in my life, it's like, this is what all of my struggles has come down to see perception as a sound, as if sound was your eyes. You could see it, you could feel it, you can touch it. I heard Michael say, I could hear music. And Oprah was like, oh, you know that? Yeah, I don't understand what he's saying right now. But he's like, no, you have to. And he just stopped for a little moment. And I was like, that's it. That's that moment of clarity. If I could get that moment of clarity and be able to translate that in my words, that would be so amazing. And that's where I've come to learn that, purpose is a calling. And in order to start that purpose, you have to really tune into yourself. Ask yourself the right questions. Like how you're asking me questions. You have to ask yourself these same questions. What am I doing? What do I want? What creative drive do I really have? What am I willing to put time into? YouTube, this internet um, generation, you could see how much have changed, especially coming from the 80s and seeing how much from the 80s where you were just dealing with a phone, a normal phone, house phone, and how you would stay connected till today. You see everybody's trying to get on the video. Everybody's trying to express themselves some form of way, looking for their purpose. All they have to do is just tune into themselves. But you have to be surrounded by others and see it. It's just, you set fire when you see something amazing.
Would you term that as mindfulness? Would it be a form of mindfulness what you're talking about?
Yeah, because it's
shutting down the noise and eliminating the distraction,
right.
and getting within yourself,
right.
so to say?
Yes, because movies and music help me out in so many ways. The movie X-Men, I watch movies for perception signals. Like when Xavier would go into Professor X, he would go into the room of I forgot what they're called. Please don't get mad at me, X-Men viewers that knows their stuff.
I haven't seen it, so I can't help you there.
Right, no problem.
But I have a friend called the X-Men, so
so they'll probably understand. I think it's called Excalibur, but basically, well, that's a sword. But he would go into this place where he listened to all the thoughts of people, and he would have to tune. Particularly, only the person who he would want to hear, he have to tune in and adjust to who he wants to hear. That gave me a vision of, wow, the directors of these films understand this, that they put it into a film. So I know what I'm thinking isn't too far out or too far-fetched because I'm seeing it visually here in movies. So I started becoming a movie buff. So
you're not the only crazy one. So it gave you some
pretty much
satisfaction a little bit.
Yeah, there's a gang of Tarantinos and Peter Jacksons out there. So I was just like, well, you know what? There's fans of this. How can I connect more with people that's on this creative level? And that's what it gave me more fuel for the fire. And I always found fuel for the fire. That was never a problem. So, if we could tap into that fuel and put that inside our car to drive, maybe we'll be able to get a lot of places. Not worry about gas, but
and ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, you got the copy in front of you there, Champion Minded.
Yes.
And in there, there's a chapter we wrote called Normal Does Not Create Excellence.
Right.
Meaning that we spoke about crazy. We look at the example of Serena and Venus, that Richard the father was crazy.
Right.
Earl Woods was crazy, and any top performer or someone that's created excellence has been labeled crazy or not normal.
Einstein.
Yeah.
Crazy. And I love that because Kanye West just said something recently where he was like, he's going to give a new perception on crazy. He wants to help people gain a better understanding of the word crazy. And I would like to help him out a little bit on that topic because as many people or the normal, because some people say, stop trying to be normal. They used to just irk me and nerves like, what do you mean normal? What is this normal? It's like,
exactly.
You're not average. So what you're saying, you're average? Or why are you making it seem like I'm better than, or putting me up on a pedestal which I don't choose to be on, And that's one thing, we'll talk about that later, but it's just a thing where normal and above normal. I feel when you have drive, it's just something that's in your DNA, man. You can't explain it. It's just the fire. It's like, Dale.
If the listeners could see your face right now, just how much you lit up there.
Because I'm thinking of Dale Earnhardt. I think if I'm pronouncing his name right, from NASCAR.
Yeah.
And to know that even in losing his life in this accident, but also having a son that's also on fire with racing, it's across the board. The fire that he had to have just to get behind the wheel and continue to go day in and day out. There's something that is above normal. It almost connects to how Greeks probably related this to the gods in their time. how they saw like the god of Zeus. Zeus probably was just a guy that was driven that just knew how to deal with electricity. Poseidon was a person that was just a water engineer that knew how to fix pipes. But in their world, they deemed them as gods because they did it at such a high passion with so much energy. They just like, yo, listen to this guy talk. This philosopher is like, whoa. You're like, yo, what should we call it? Yeah, they're gods. This is the Odyssey. This is the Odyssey. So in different ages, there's a different coin for this drive or this purpose. It's almost like it's reborn. In each age that is reborn, it's a different stage. Like we're moved from the analog age into the digital age, and it's just on fire now.
Would you say our purpose changes multiple times in life? I have this thing where I believe we metamorphosize every 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
If you look back 5 years to your life, you would agree that you've changed.
Yeah,
your views have changed, what you've learned, the knowledge, all these things. And in 5 years' time, you would have changed as well through your experiences and through everything that comes up. But one thing I have is I hope that when I look back in 5 years' time, I go, man, you were an idiot. You really did think you knew it, didn't you? And that's how I look back. Right. Because I'm a lifelong learner. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious about things.
Right.
A lot of things. And sometimes, especially in the sports industry, you sit down with an athlete or a coach, and all they can talk about is that one sport. And you can say, okay, you have a passion, but there's not much else going on outside of that. They wouldn't be able to tell you what's going on in the news or whatever it may be.
Right. I would call that the Al Bundy theory.
Tell us.
From how I used to watch Al Bundy sit there and talk about the football dreams that he had and how he was a superstar, but he was a shoe salesman that just never went anywhere. And it's almost like you live on the past or on your past accomplishments instead of setting plans forward to your future endeavors. So where people would actually say, oh man, I made mistakes in my life. We all make mistakes. But what am I going to do to continue to live a better life in the future? What am I doing now that's going to make a change in those 5 years? So those 5 years that you see people to change or that where to change, what change am I looking to work on now that I'm going to recognize 5 years from now? Sometimes we don't even think past 2 years because we might, honestly, hitting it within us, we'd be like, man, I just hope to get through this year.
Yeah.
I hope to get
through today.
Yeah, so
yeah.
Sometimes we don't think of those 5 years, and when those 5 years pass, you look back and you reflect like, wow, look at what I've become,
Caprio, this is gold, so thank you so much for
problem,
making the time for us. You spoke about mistakes being an important part of our journey. What has mistakes and failure taught you in life and in your career as well?
I mean, one of the phrases that I heard or stating, it says, your greatest failure will become your greatest successor because you learn from your mistakes. But the key word was learn. You had to learn from it in order for it to become a success. If you don't learn from it, you won't become successful. So there's many people that's going through these failures but not learning from them.
Don't face them.
Right. They're scared of them. I actually faced it, and it was...
Has that always been? Or was it something that... Was there a time in your life when that changed?
Yeah, because this is what I was about to bring in, going to the segue of when I faced a gun that was held in my face. And
this is a true story?
Yeah, true story.
Yeah.
I was around a friend, and like I said, the street that I was on, and the funny thing is that he cracked a joke, and this gentleman, he was just got out of jail, and he was smoking and had a lace joint, and he cracked a joke, we're laughing, and all of a sudden he just pulled the gun right in front of my face, and I was like, what you laughing about? As I'm sitting there looking down this barrel, and I'm looking down the barrel of this gun, I'm like, this is it. This is it. And the only thing that I could utter that came out of my mouth was, if this makes you a man, do what you must. And my other friend that was there was like, yo, are you crazy? Hey, man, just put down the gun. You
Yeah.
don't even listen to him. But that moment, it's like I needed that moment more than anything. It was like more, it's like it was a rush for me.
How old were you?
I was 16.
16.
16.
Okay.
That had me.
Would you say that was the life-defining moment for you?
That was a life-defining moment for me. Like that was it. That you that was that moment where it's like that was it. I died right there. I died to me. Whoever knew me as Billy died right then and there. Just didn't know it. So when I stepped out of there, I came out breathing hard. I was like, oh my gosh, I could have died. But the fact he was like, you got hard. You know what I'm saying? And from that moment on, he gave me respect, and it was all love after that.
You stayed friends with him?
Yeah,
Or
he actually looked, and he's like, hey, man, how you doing, little man? You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, he changed. He would listen to what I would speak to him. He's like, man, you a smart little cat, man. Make a place for my kids, So, crazy. But it was one of those environments.
I don't think those would be my words coming out of my mouth. If that was.
And this is what I say in the experience of growing up, where we would call the hood. It wasn't a project. It was just a neighborhood where you see crime, and this is my culture, and it influenced me to create something called respect the culture. You have your space. Anybody could do what they want to do. You have your own culture, and the age of analog, or the analog age, we had discrimination, race issues. In today's digital world, a lot of these younger folks really ain't up on that. It's all about culture. Do you listen to hip hop? Do you dance? What's your art? What's your craft? If you're not up on this, we're not dealing with you. You know what I'm saying? You could be old. Vanderchuck is, up in age, but he's getting a lot of attention from the younger people because he relates to the culture. So when you respect the culture, there's no problem. The day when you start judging my culture, it's going to be an issue. And so now people are just trying to figure out, what culture do I belong to? The same way with the community of LGBT? Because I don't like to use coin terms like where they say the homosexual community or whatnot. It's just form of, that's their culture. I have friends that was a part of that culture. I didn't judge them. They could come to me and cry and talk about their issues or whatnot. And I just say, hey, look, you have to learn how to stand on your 2 feet. And this is what it is that you're about and how you live your life. And that's being a part of a champion mind as well, is learning how to overcome your failures. You could get knocked down, but how many times are you going to stand up? Dying is the easy part. You don't have to worry about everything once you leave this place. It's living with this burden and carrying this burden while you're living and remaining strong. That's the story of Atlas.
Caprio, what legacy do you want to leave?
Legacy I want to leave is continue to learn, be transparent, be beautiful, love, and just, create, be creative as possible. Just influence, be an inspiration to others by being an inspiration to yourself. Watch people, don't judge. Don't be so quick to judge. First, try to understand their story first. Learn their story. Learn the story.
Powerful advice.
Yeah.
Something I'm personally working on myself, because I'll be the first one to put my hand up and say that Allistair of 5 years ago was judgmental, was quick to make a comment or something, and that's, hopefully I'm not there yet, but when I look back in those 5 years, and hopefully in 5 years' time, I know I've come a long way there, because I believe when you're judging someone, you're really just pointing out something in your own life that isn't correct, or deflecting something that is deeper and challenging. Let's get back onto the dance world, the entertainment. You said your big focuses were hip hop, R&B. What if there's any advice you could give young dancers, anyone that wants to get into the arts entertainment industry? What would be some advice you'd give to, for example, a 16-year-old or a younger?
I give you the same advice Beyonce told me: never give up. Never give up. I remember speaking with Beyonce, and I walked to the backstage. I saw a crack in the door. Right as they exit off the stage, everybody ran outside the other way, which there was a gate that was blocking that section. I walked up on stage, being a part of SGA, and I was like, you know what? Let me go back there and speak with them. They gave me the opportunity. They made time for me, and they told me never give up. And that was one of the key things. It was like, we'll see you in the industry. That was years ago, but it's just you want to take your time, be cautious, but never give up.
Love it. And that's for anybody, no matter
Anybody, no
what
matter
you're in.
what you. Now, I must admit, because there was a 76-year-old fella in California who started rapping, and I was like, hey, you might want to hang that up and just get into like, lyric course or teaching people how to write lyrics. But I don't think you want to step out of the scene. Nah, don't do that,
Hey,
bro.
there could be a market open for that.
Yeah, Granny. The funny thing is, I recorded the first Granny rapper in Hollywood, and she was she was known as the Granny rapper, and I recorded her. So I thought it was funny, but never give up. It's just
there you go.
Yeah, never give up.
Funny you should say that. I just saw on I don't know if it was Twitter or where it was, but a woman in where was it? I think it was in the United States here, 101, and she broke the 100-meter record for age group 100 to 105. So
never give up. That's the key word. Never give up. Never.
Awesome stuff. Let's see. We've covered so much here, so much good stuff, especially with regards purpose and passion and so on. Dancing, especially for us guys, can be a daunting thing. I can remember as a kid being at a party. You got the girls lined up on the one side and the boys lined up on the wall on the other side, and you have that fear. And even to this day, I'll admit it, maybe asked to go to salsa or go dance, and I'm making up every excuse in the book why I can't go.
Right.
And it's a fear. How does one overcome that?
You got to cut the roots to them wallflowers, Cutting the roots to wallflowers is just, really finding. Most of the time when you're a wallflower, you're really accessing the environment. Like, why am I here? Is this someplace? You got to find something that's fun. And sometimes you just have to let go. Dancing, just got to let go. Feel the groove. And
how do you let go? What tips could you give listeners out there? Because this isn't about dancing, but just fear.
Right.
How do you overcome that?
I mean, I don't know about cursing on this, but you'll just be like, screw it. It's just like, hey, I'm going for it. I had a friend who just used to create a circle, and he would drag me in the middle of that circle in the club. And I'll just let loose. Just let the beat take control. Some of us don't know how to let the beat take control, but that's where it goes back to listening, tuning in to yourself, to your body movements. And my richest friend, who I was speaking of before, he would dance. He's not the best dancer, but when he dances, he's in his head. You can't get to it. And I would love it. Be like, yo, bro, you killing it. Okay, yeah, man, you do it. Just don't do that out in public. And they would laugh about it. But
well, if you ever want to see my dance moves, you just have to watch. Was it Hitch with Will Smith?
Right, I remember.
Where the guy's making the pizza.
Right.
And Will says, "Don't do that."
Right.
Again.
And the funny thing is, you will want to do that. That's what you will want to do. Just get into the groove, to yourself, zone out, listen to your music. Music is highly influential. It influences you to just relax. Now, when it comes down to dancing, there's a part of you where you have to just not listen to anybody. It's a place of peace. It's almost like where you go and read a book. How you would go find and look for a place to read a book and just get that quiet space, you have to learn how to create that in your mind, no matter where you're at. So you could see somebody on the subway with all the noise, they're still reading that book because they learn how to quiet that noise. And when you could control that noise that's in your head, you're capable of doing anything that you put your mind to. So it's all about controlling the noise that's in your mind, because there's a lot of noise that gets into our mind. So when you're a wallflower, listen to the noise that's actually in your head. When you're a wallflower, you're actually paying attention to the noise in your head. Tone it down and go out there and just set it off. Now, if you don't know how to stay on temp, on beat, or don't have no rhythm, or can't catch the tempo, then you can practice at home. Okay, let me try with the two-step. 1, 2, and 3, and
My
4.
level.
And we all start off from somewhere, but starting is the golden part of that journey, that step. Because a journey is created by steps, not just by standing. A destination is where you stop. That journey is all about steps. So when you 1, 2 stepping, you're on a journey. And that's how you view dancing. So somebody say, how do you get off the wall? Start with a step.
Love it.
Just step forward.
Simple, great advice.
Right. You could step forward and step back.
That's step a dance.
Forward. Yeah, that's
now we're talking my dance move.
Right. So now it's like step forward, step back. So it's simple. We make things so complicated when only it's just a step.
Would you? That's brilliant advice. Would you say, especially for us guys, ego is the big big thing? That's a huge part of our fear.
Oh yeah.
What are people going to think about me? What is she laughing at me? Is he laughing at me?
Yes. The alpha male versus beta male syndrome. You're the alpha male, and you're like, yeah, I'm tough. I ain't got to, dance. I could just stand here. No, ladies love when you learn how to loosen up. Guys, there's some guys that know how to loosen up as well. It's just feeling confident about your steps. I remember when I was skating, and
because you roller skate as well, right? That's what we spoke about at the restaurant.
Definitely, I actually incorporate my dance moves on skates. And there was a young girl who was skating by me, and she was like, I thought it was brilliant how she worded the phrase. She was like, "You really trust your feet?" I was like, "Wow, something so small but enlightening." Like, yeah, you can say that. I do trust my feet. You have to have confidence in who you are. It's not being feminine or masculine. Dancing is a way, as I learned through history, dancing was the way to show your appreciation in life, to express yourself through love. When you couldn't get it out in words, you would show, hey, this is what I'm expressing to you. Frank Sinatra.
There's a verse in the Bible about, I'll tell you what I remember is the movie Footloose, which was an 80s classic. You probably, I don't know if you...
I remember Footloose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kevin Bacon,
Yeah.
I think it was. And, I haven't seen the movie for ages, but part of the story is where he's growing up in this rural town. I don't know where it was, maybe in the middle of the United States somewhere, and a very religious family as well, where they didn't see dancing as an appropriate thing for kids to do, and then I can't remember the scene, but somebody got up in church and read a scripture from the Bible saying, I'm going to butcher this right now, but just saying, and they danced in front of...
Yeah, it's David dancing. The story that most people always bring up when David did his dance, and most people made that a controversial issue. And not to get on the religious aspect of it, but just saying when you have a spiritual connection with your Heavenly Father, you have been given this opportunity to dance. Look at the people who don't have legs, who can't dance. I dance for them. I dance for those who can't dance. That's what dancers usually take on that role. I dance for those who are afraid to dance. I dance for those who can't dance. What do dancing do for us? It takes us to a place. What place is that? That wonderland, that neverland. Michael, being one of the greatest of all time, entertainers of all times, what was he known for? Dancing, the moonwalk. Mick Jagger, dancing. Chris Brown, dancing. Bobby Brown, dancing. Most people love dancers. You look at a lot of entertainers in today's industry, they don't really do too much dancing. They do steps, choreography, but really dance. I'm talking about that passionate dance. Mick Jagger just used to go out there and be like, "Hey, I'm like loose," and people be like, "Oh, that's the energy that you feel. You can't imitate that. You can't fake it. It's something
it's inside.
Right? It's just something that gets into you and it won't let you go. And some people are like, okay, I want to dance, but I don't want to let loose like that. That sounds like something that's just going to control my life. I just want to do something simple and get off the wall. How do I do that?
Yeah.
Believe in yourself.
Mm.
Believe in yourself. Stop looking at yourself from other people's
How
eyes.
do you believe in yourself? Would you say it comes down to what we say to ourselves on a daily
Right.
basis?
The things that you normally say to yourself, because usually I would say 95%, I'm just throwing this out there, I wouldn't know, statistically. Um, we judge ourselves and we compare ourselves to others so much that we're seeing ourselves from other people's point of view.
Mm.
Like, if you saw me just walk in McDonald's
Mm.
and just order a burger, hey, I'd like to get a number one, you wouldn't know what I know because you didn't really get the opportunity to know my story. Same way I could look at you and you could go in and walk inside a hip hop store going through the crates, and I would have been like, we judge, we prejudge constantly. This is the way that we've been systematically programmed, is to judge everything, to compare everything. The day you become transparent and let all that go, a new life takes form. The butterfly. You becoming the butterfly. You broke the cocoon, now you're seeing life for what it is, and this is where you can dance, you can do other things, but it's believing in yourself, is breaking out of that cocoon and saying, hey, know my story. Get to know my story. Hey, what's your story? And the toughest part about that is, what makes fear real is there are real dangers to this. You could ask somebody, hey, what's your story? And that person could harm you. They may not like what you do. And that's the reality of it. You have real dangers giving you real fear, but then that real fear starts to hinder everything you do.
Mm.
So that's why it's important to be around people who are really cultivating, hey, this is a place to be creative. So now we have to create these creative spots. Hey, we came here to dance.
Mm.
Hey, we came here to perform. Where you're at, this is why we create these concerts and be beautiful people. And in back of our head, it's like those people that really succeeded, those people's like, I know one day I may go, but if I'm going to go out in the blaze of glory. I'm dancing. And that's how it is. So it's really just finding that place of peace. And I was like, things are going to be what it is. I found my place. Let me just go ahead and step forward in doing that.
Beautifully said. Man, I want to be respectful of your time because we could go on and on and on here, but quick fire questions. Mm-hmm. So one word or a sentence. Ready?
Ready.
Favorite food?
Broccoli.
First one on the show that said broccoli. So we saw it. Normal doesn't create excellence, right? You're definitely out the box thinker. Favorite artist? I think another one.
Right now it's between
past and present. Let's go there.
Okay, Michael Jackson and Kendrick Lamar.
Okay. Favorite country or city?
California, San Diego.
Beautiful. It is beautiful out there, huh? Famous person, past or present, that you'd like to meet or would have loved to have met? Can be anybody. You've met Beyonce, so we can take that one off the list.
I would say Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj, okay. That's still possible.
Hey.
Pet peeves?
Pet peeves is closed-minded individuals. It's just closed-mindedness is.
Where do you think that comes from? Judgment?
Yeah, judgment. It's just we're so used to the norm that we are afraid. They're so afraid to make a move, so they'd rather hold you back along with them because they're afraid to make the move. It's almost like when you go jump in the pool and like skinny dipping back in the day, like, oh, I'm not going to go in and skinny dip. But I go skinny dip, like, you really skinny dip? Oh, no, I don't know. So most of the time, people are fearful of things, and when they're fearful of something, they want you to be afraid of it for the same reason they're afraid. It's like, no, that's just a stigma.
I know I'm jumping out of the quick fire here, but this is definitely a question I want to ask you. Mm-hmm. Especially that I speak to a lot of kids in high schools and colleges. What advice would you give somebody who's struggling with self-image?
I struggled with self-image for a long time. there was a lot of like having back acne and things of that nature there. And there, I helped myself back from a career, and I used to use the excuse that hey, I'm here to help my mom, or just find little small things. And what helped me overcome, now I feel like I'm getting out of that, is goes back to believing in yourself. Neverland. There's never. The word never does not reside in Neverland. And I had to tune in to this. And the game of chess actually helped me out with this not to jump onto a different topic. The game of chess really helped me out with this. You cannot play a game of chess without a queen or a king. If you don't have a queen or king, you don't have an empire to set your pawns and everything else around that. So when I look at my success is that empire. So in order for me to accomplish my success, I have to create that empire. So I have to be the king on this chessboard in order for me to move forward to get things done. So I would say you have to really believe in yourself. Tune in into yourself. I don't know how many times I would have to say that. And as much as we may hear it, stop listening to the noise in your head from others and start listening to the music you make within.
Wow.
Listen to your own footsteps making the sounds as you tap across the dance floor. Listen to the very music that you play within your heart. Be that. Don't be what you think people accuse you to be. Be you. Be beautiful.
Wow. Whew, man. I think we've got to have you back on the show, man.
I would appreciate it.
This is definitely. I haven't had anybody on twice, but I think we're going to be the first guy that's going to be.
That's something amazing.
Back to quickfire. Best advice you've ever received, and remember, it's only just we're going to do a sentence on this one, but
yeah, just shut up and do it.
There we go. Tea, coffee, or protein shake?
Tea.
Okay. Favorite book?
Seven Types of Queens That Kings Desire by Kevin Dorville.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, he's an author, and the book he's pushing to get it out, and that is a very powerful book for relationships. I would say he's definitely a champion-minded individual who's focused on how to build better relationships. And he's working on 7 types of kings that queens desire. It's a beautiful piece.
What's it called again? 7
types of queens. 7 types of queens that kings desire.
Interesting.
It's very powerful.
Current book you're reading?
That's the current book.
That's the current one.
Yeah, that's the current one. I'm familiar with Robert Kiyosaki, 4 Quadrants, the Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm more into like self-help books and things of that nature there. Now, since you blessed me with the Champion Minded, this is definitely going to be the next read for me. So I'm looking forward to reading that.
Well, I hope it doesn't disappoint. So.
Oh no, definitely.
All right, last 2 or 3. Worst habit about yourself?
Procrastination.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes.
I wouldn't have labeled that one on you at all. You just seem like a guy that's just nonstop energy and.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like procrastination to sneak up on me. Like I'll be like, I'm ready to go, and I sit back with some tea and be like, oh, you know what? I just sit here for a little minute.
Going to the gym or something. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
One word to describe you. I know we could have.
Eccentric.
Eccentric. I like that. Man, this has been awesome. Again, thank you for taking the time. I greatly appreciate it. I mean, you've just dropped some incredible gold here on Champion Minded, our favorite color. I know a lot of the listeners are going to benefit from this. Selfishly, I have benefited from just... I've only known you for maybe no more than 2 hours of obviously meeting you on Sunday, but already you've changed some of my perspectives and given me food for thought. I appreciate that. Final question. What does it take to be champion-minded?
Becoming transparent. Every day you wake up, just look learning. It's so many elements to this. It's almost like creating Captain Planet. You know, find those elements to help you become Captain Planet. Captain Planet is a transparent life seeker that just wants to learn on how to help and give solutions to problems. If I could put it and sum it up into just that phrase, you know.
Awesome. Caprio, if there's some folks out there that want to reach you or follow you, is there anything on social media that they can connect with you?
Yes, you could look me up as Caprio Jackson. My Facebook, Instagram, Caprio Jackson. I try to brand up under the name Caprio Jackson. Everything is Caprio Jackson.
Just Caprio Jackson straight.
Yeah, Caprio Jackson. Caprio Jackson. Also, a new platform that I'm definitely starting to build on, which is Holanis, where you could be able to purchase the webinar that I'll be releasing. So Holanis, HOLONIS. Check it out. It's a great
.com.
place. Yeah,
.com.
Yes. It's a great place to build and network. So
cool stuff. Thank you so much, my man.
Definitely.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Same here.
So guys, hope you enjoyed that one with Caprio Jackson. Remember that this podcast is available on iTunes and YouTube. Also, stay connected on social media on Twitter at Allistair McCall, Facebook McCall Method, and on Instagram Be Champion Minded. So wherever you are, remember you were made for greatness. Now go do the work. Until next time, guys, stay champion minded.